Hey, let's talk about last weekend, John. We saw WWE present Night of Champions. This was a Saudi Arabian pay-per-view. There's been some new news out that says that I guess there's going to be 3 events in Saudi Arabia in 2026. We know the Royal Rumble will be there. They've already revealed it's going to happen at least 2 other times in 2026. But this whole show, I feel like, was really kind of marred in controversy. I know there was a real war situation with the neighboring Iran, and a lot of people were concerned about the safety and travel for the performers. Thankfully, everybody's fine. No incidents. That's probably no surprise to you. You've been over there a bunch, but I think people were overly cautious, and understandably so. But the next big controversy was, well, hey, CM Punk is here. And we know a few years ago, CM Punk had a pretty controversial tweet that was targeting Saudi Arabia, and Miz was mentioned, and it was not kind to Miz or Saudi Arabia. And last week, right before, I guess it was the day before they did Friday Night SmackDown, they had a bit of a pep rally, a presser, if you will. And there was an incident where I guess the real life Phil Brooks apologized for his tweet to a fan that was in the crowd. And they actually played that, from what I understand, on the big screen prior to their events that weekend. And I guess there's some criticism being launched Punk's way. I don't think this is necessarily fair, but it probably wasn't fair when he tried to take Miz to task the first time either. But either way, I feel like all of that negative bullshit, John, took away from the enjoyment of what was a pretty fun show. Otherwise, like I wish that we could stop some of the commentary on wrestling and just watch the shit, but everybody was talking about this last week, so I've got to ask: do you have an opinion about CM Punk's tweet about Saudi Arabia and what happened in Saudi Arabia?
Yeah, I do. I have an opinion about, especially I'll start with the Saudi Arabia. You talk about the negative stuff. I mean, I was reading all these tweets about how they're taking money over safety and all this bullshit. And it is bullshit, by the way. It's just bullshit. They'd be like, oh, they don't care anything about the guy's safety. They're going over there too. I mean, they're not going to put their own lives at risk. They have families also. It's not, this is just insane to me that people were, and tweet after tweet was negative about, oh, they're just putting money above safety. That war was 1,000+ miles away. And to get to Saudi Arabia, they're flying private. They're not flying over Iran airspace. You fly over from like the Egypt direction. You're flying from west to east, not east to west. So you're not anywhere near this freaking war zone. It's like shutting down Austria because there's a war in Ukraine. Would you feel safe going to Vienna? Yeah, of course you would. But if you're sitting there saying, if you want to bash WWE and have a match in Vienna, they're going, oh, how dare you guys send them to Europe? There's a war going on in Ukraine. Yeah, it's not going to cross the border of Saudi Arabia. That's World War III if that happens. And you say, well, it could happen. You're being naive. No, I'm not. You're being stupid by saying that it was something that was dangerous. I don't have any issue with them going to Saudi Arabia. I don't think it was about money over safety. Was it about money? Of course it was. It's about money if you go to Baltimore. It's about money if you go to LA. You're getting paid a ton of money to go over there. You're fulfilling your contract. That's what people do. And so I don't have any issue whatsoever with them going to Saudi Arabia. And I think all of this clamoring about, oh, how dare you send people into a war zone? I've been to war zones. That ain't a war zone. Now, I'm not a soldier, and I don't want to take away from no stolen valor here of claiming that I did anything that was great. I wasn't. I was taken care of by the military and very well protected. But there's no comparison. Absolutely no comparison. I thought what they did in Saudi Arabia was what they should have done. And as far as CM Punk, I've never called him Phil. Just always we used to always call guys by their gimmick names so you wouldn't make a mistake in public and call them by their real name. But I've always called him CM Punk. We've always been friends. And you say things sometimes in life that you mean, and then your life changes. If you haven't changed in several years, you've done nothing in your life.
Roll Tide.
For people to go back and look at tweets that people put 10 years ago, I said stuff 10 years ago that I would not mean today. I can't think of a specific example, but because people say, well, give me an example. I don't know. I mean, life, you change. If you hadn't changed in 10 years, you haven't done anything. And CM Punk doesn't need the money. He doesn't need the money to go over there. And I think he's a stand-up guy. I think anybody that knows him knows that. He's a stand-up dude. And if he didn't want to go, he wouldn't have gone. You can't make him go. WWE is not going to make him go. I guarantee that. So if he went on his own volition. And if he apologized because his view had changed, and he meant it. And so I'm taking that 100% at face value. I think anybody that doesn't is a mind reader. You can't read minds. You don't know what's inside of CM Punk. You're just making shit up because you want to be negative.
Listen, as a rule, we're not a political podcast and are never going to be. But all I could think about was, those kids in that crowd, they're just here to watch wrestling, man. And I remember that feeling as an 8 or 9 year old kid being so excited to be at a WWF show. And I don't want any kid to be deprived of that. And I'm not trying to make a political statement here. I'm just saying at its surface, I want to remind everybody that this thing that we all still love as overgrown adult children, we started liking when we were like 8 or 9 years old. And if we approach all of these conversations from that perspective, I think our enjoyment might be a little easier. I mean, I don't think politics or real life worries or concerns were even a thought for the kids in the crowd last weekend. And they looked like they were having a blast, John.
Yeah, they look like they were having fun, and that's what it's all about.
Yes.
And you say, well, how do you deal with this group or that group? Look, if you want to put a moral test on whoever you work for or work with, are you going to be like some religious purist that, people have different views and people consider different things wrong. People consider some people consider drinking of anything wrong. Some people consider smoking weed, it's legal, completely wrong. Some people consider that if you have sex outside of marriage, you should be thrown out of a church. And it depends on how you interpret the Bible. You can't put your morals on somebody else. Now, if it crosses what you do, don't work with them. But you can't put that on somebody else. You can't put that on WWE going, well, how do you work with these guys? Or how do you work with those guys? Because you could literally say that in any arena in the world. You could find somebody that you have a different agreement with, have a difference of opinion with, and a difference of moral views with. And to me, it just takes away from, you're just being some asshole purist that thinks they're better than everybody else because you can look down from the top and say, oh, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that. And screw you. The world's enjoying themselves. Either come along for the ride or go somewhere else.
Don't we all love summer vacation, relaxing, laying out by the pool, barbecues, hitting the beach, doing, nothing? Well, how about a summer vacation from your house payments? With SaveWithConrad.com, you can do just that. Reduce your monthly payments by making the equity you built up in your home work for you. You can roll together those high interest rate credit cards into one lower monthly payment and perhaps access some of that newfound equity to turn your house into your dream home with no money out of pocket. And how about this? You get to skip your next 2 house payments. That's right. You won't have to make your June or your July house payment. You're done until August 1st. Go right now to SaveWithConrad.com. Let my team run the numbers for you for free. There's no obligation, and if we can't help you save some cash, we won't waste your time. And did I mention we're offering a 3-year guarantee right now? That's right. That means if at any point interest rates improve over the next 3 years, you get a free refi. That's right. No new lender fees from us. So you get to save money now without wasting money later when the rates improve on a whole second set of closing costs. Why not go to SaveWithConrad.com and get a guarantee? Save money now and save money later with your friend in the mortgage business. That's me, Conrad Thompson at SaveWithConrad.com. Shoot me an email at Conrad@SaveWithConrad.com. Give us a call at 888-425-0105. Or get yourself a quick quote, even talk to a live person right now at SaveWithConrad.com. NMLS number 2129, equal housing lender. Let's take a summer vacation from house payments at SaveWithConrad.com.